Yo, what is going on? Second Floor family, Calculated Coffee series with your boy Cassius. I don't even know what to say today. I am so hyped about this conversation. A virtual mentor of mine that accepted the invitation to be on this podcast. I had a beautiful conversation. I was honored to be able to pick his brain with all the businesses he's been doing and just kind of get a real sense of a true creative filmmaker, hustler, businessman. I don't even know what to say. I mean, for those who've been following my filmmaking journey, my creative journey, this man has been not only an inspiration, but someone who I look to, who is leading the way just as a entrepreneur, creator, and he is killing it on all fronts. Yeah, I'ma just leave it to that. But for those who don't know Jakob Owens, here is a little bit of a rundown of who he is. Jakob is a visual director and an entrepreneur based in Los Angeles, California, whose projects range from music videos, films, commercials, travel, branded content, and more. He's also the creator and owner of the Buffnerds YouTube channel, which has accumulated over 280 million views and 800,000 plus subscribers, as well as a personal Instagram following of over 160,000 followers. His work has been displayed on all of the major music television networks such as MTV, VH1, BET, REVOLT, and more. He has collaborated and worked with artists such as Tyga, Chris Brown, Wale, Jesse McCartney, Chamillionaire, Nick Carter, the Braxton Sisters, iLoveMemphis, Futuristic, Kyle, Dizzy Wright, and much, much more. With his experience in the film industry, Jakob has gone on to build 3 very successful filmmaking product companies: Tropicolor, Prism Lens FX, and the Buffnerds locations, consisting of 5 film studios, all obtaining high amounts of followers and business from filmmakers and photographers from all over the world. Man, am I super excited for you guys to listen to our conversation. We get into how Jakob has been building his businesses, where he is currently with his businesses, his personal life. How does he balance all the things that he's doing as a creative and a filmmaker, and a lot of important tips and advice for creators and filmmakers who want to follow in his steps. If you guys haven't signed up for my Patreon, patreon.com/Cassius, to listen to our full conversation, I'll leave links to all those pages below. So without further ado, guys, let's dive in. Well, Jakob, thank you for accepting this invitation to come on the Second Floor podcast, my man. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Dude, I am super excited. Like I said before on our pre-call, I've been following you for many years. And as a fellow, videographer, filmmaker, watching your journey and just seeing what you've been doing outside of just film is inspiring, my man. So much respect and from somebody who is not, in Arizona, someone who's outside in Canada. It's just it's inspiring to see. So much respect. I kind of want to dive into, the first part is, a lot of what you do is revolved, or at least I know the foundation is health. And a lot of people don't really talk to you about that. The health and fitness side, your company, Buffnerds. Let's talk about that a little bit. How did, why is fitness such an important part?
As I sit here drinking I call it my nasty juice, because it's my daily smoothie, but this shit is not good. Like what's
in that?
I mean, it's just a concoction of things. It's like, in like the movies and the witches brew, and they just throw a nose and then like some ogre juice, and I don't even know what. Like, there's just a bunch of random stuff. Usually it's just like frozen fruit. Just depends on whatever I have that day. It could be for mix or whatever. And then the majority of it after the frozen fruit is like water. Like, a lot of people just throw in like sugary juice, and it's like that. you're kind of defeating the purpose. One, there's a lot of, sugars in fruit already, so naturally you should already have a little bit of a sweet taste. But so I fill it up with water the majority of the way. Then I'll add like a splash of juice at the top, just so it's not unbearable.
Yeah.
But then like a handful of spinach, and then depending on, like, I have a variety of like just different powders and stuff, and like mushroom powder, flaxseed, chia seed powder, super greens, wheatgrass. Like I just have like a cabinet full of just like different, and then I mix it up. Some days I do this powder versus this one, and just but yeah, so it's usually water, frozen fruit, spinach, and a mixture of like different powders. Almonds, I'll throw in almonds, or other nuts if I have other nuts. So yeah, it's just all that. There's no measuring or like, oh yeah, I do not make it for taste, and so yeah, it's just my daily juice though. But it's a
jam-packed.
Yeah, but the whole point of it is I'm not drinking it because I want to taste something good. I'm drinking it for my health and body and kick off my day right, and just hopefully get, within my daily nutrition, all within this. If for whatever reason, if I have a bad day or don't eat, like bad day in terms of like eating healthy or eating right, or I'm not able to eat the things that I, should be eating for my body every day. So this is usually like, hopefully I get my daily nutrition of everything in this, and then from there it's, so. But yeah, health, sorry about that, I went a little rant on that, but yeah, health is like super important to me, always has been. Grew up an athlete my whole life, and so I think just naturally just learning to train, work out, eat healthy, and, so that my body could perform at the higher level, when playing sports and basketball and volleyball and whatever it was I was playing. Just became habit for me, and just ultimately is what led me to naming my YouTube channel and then production company Buffnerds, is because I was like, I'm like a fit nerd. Like most film people are like kind of nerdy, people, and not like athletes that are like, so it just kind of became then just my name and mantra, and just kind of what I was about was just living a healthier lifestyle. And I think it attributes to a lot of everything I've done in business and success. And I just know people, talking to people that are unhealthy people, I don't have energy, or I struggle to get up in the morning, or like, how do you do all the things, like my focus, like, and I just feel like throughout the years of, maintaining good, healthy habits, it allows me to do more just in my life and in business as well, you know what I mean? And so, like, I never take naps. I don't ever have to take a nap, you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of people take naps because their body needs to find some source of energy, and because it's just not healthy enough to keep going. So it's like, I need to go to sleep. And so you go to sleep, you get tired. And so, and obviously there's other things like iron deficiencies that play into all that stuff, and I'm not going to get too deep into all that, but I don't know, I just feel like it's such an important piece of, it should be an important piece of everyone's life, but especially a creative, you know what I mean? You're a filmmaker, you're having to lug around gear, carry gear, film heavy stuff, think creatively, and like if your body and brain is not firing on all cylinders, you're just doing a disservice to yourself, so yeah, super important to me. So I try my best.
Yeah.
Gets harder. I feel it gets harder the further I go in life because I'm just always adding so much to my plate. But there's always time. It's just whether it's a priority or not to you. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I'm curious. Is that something you start your day off? Is do you get the workouts in the morning, or do you have like a morning like routine that you constantly do as like a ritual? Is that something that's there for you, or?
I need to get better about it. I do have a morning routine, and it used to be like, it still kind of is I wake up, I go make coffee, do my daily devotional, and then I go to the computer and will work for about like emails, just seeing like, what do I have to do today, make my to-do list, maybe I do a little computer work or whatever for like 2 hours, and then I go and work out. So it's usually somewhere around 9 a.m. that I'm 9-10 that I'm working out. I don't like to let it get into the afternoon, because then that's when you start to like, it's like the day's kind of passed and you're not really thinking like, let me go work out. So I like to get it done in the morning after a little bit of work, and then do the workout, then back to work for the rest of the day. And yeah, so that's roughly my routine and schedule. In the mornings and whatnot.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, man. And I think you hit on something very important, is that a lot of creatives, don't take their health seriously, or at least they don't have that as like an integral piece. I
think part of it too is, like I said, I think going back to, there's not too many athletes that like become like filmmakers or creatives in that space. And so you have a lot of these filmmakers who are filmmakers because they didn't grow up working out, playing sports, doing all these things. And so I don't think for a lot of these people, and it's slightly changing, you're seeing the stereotype dwindle a little bit. You're seeing more and more like fit or athletic people that be filmmakers and whatnot. Not saying that's like whatever, but I think you have some of these people growing up that's just not a habit, and so it's not a part of their life. It's not part of their habits. So when they they're in their career, or whether they're starting out or they'll have their career is moving or they're deep into their career, it's not like a normal thing. Like I know even my buddy Tom, like he's been doing better about it, and like he at one point he bought a Peloton and he's doing stuff. He's like, I need to start doing doing something. But he grew up not playing sports, not having a dad who made him do push-ups and shove carrot juice down his throat. Like, my dad made me drink a juice like every day growing up. He'd make me some carrot juice, here, drink this, and so I just think you develop those habits early on, and a lot of people who are, I guess, like creatives and filmmakers necessarily don't really grow up like that, and it's not a priority, so it just doesn't carry over. And so, but yeah, you gotta make time for it. It's super important, especially the longevity of your career. If you want to do it for a really long time, like the best way to do that's take care of yourself. You know what I mean? So, yeah, super important.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, man. And I think a lot of people are. I mean, like you said, like the kind of narrative around that is kind of changing, and I think a lot of people are putting that as focus, or at least adding it into their lives. And I think as filmmakers and creatives, we get so consumed in our daily grind that it's easy to be like, oh man, I got no time. I got shoots to go on, and I got XYZ on the plate. Like I just have no time to work out or at least even eat healthy.
And I say, and to me that's like, it's a load of crap, because it's just like, bro, look at I always talk about it. I think I even mentioned to you in the pre-thing, is like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's got to be one of the busiest mans in the freaking world, and like
Facts.
That dude puts in work. And it's like, if he finds time, like you can find time. You're not busier than him, so or have more on your plate than he does. So there's always time. It's just whether or not it's a priority to you. That 15, 20, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour that you're watching videos on YouTube or Netflix could be your workout time, but the priority to you is, I want to watch these videos and not work out. You know what I mean? So there's always time. Whether even if it's just like, I mean, it takes what? I mean, 6 to 10 minutes depending on who you are to run a mile. You could easily every day just make it a goal to at least run a mile, and do. I mean, it's not a lot, but do something, and that doesn't take more than 10 minutes, So there's always something that can be done. It's just, again, whether it's really important to you or not. So, but now, and I'm kind of at the point, like I am very fit. I'm very healthy. I'm not trying to be like some giant meathead or anything like that. So if I want to take a day or two off and I don't hit it hard, like, I mean, it's not going to really affect me, because it's like I've been doing it my whole life, you know what I mean? So, but for someone where it's not a habit, or they're trying to lose weight or trying to get stronger or faster, or just, build that habit, you can't just like go 3 or 4 days not doing anything and then just expect to so I don't know, but.
Yeah, and it seems like, obviously with you, it started early on. It's become a habit, and I think a lot of people can learn from that in terms of, like you said, there is time. You just gotta make it happen. So
100%.
I wanted to talk about kind of a little bit, how your partnership with Tom came about. I know you guys said you met, I believe, in film school. And is that where
Tom?
did, you know? Yeah, Tom. Yeah.
Sorry, you broke up for a second, and I thought
okay.
I thought you said Tom. No, we met. Well, he was still in film school, so he's like a year younger than me, and he was still in film school, and I had just moved to LA, and I just, I was directing a bunch of music videos and stuff, but I was doing everything. I was shooting, directing, editing, doing all that stuff, and I had met him on a video that I shot for this band, Radical Something, and they brought him on to like shoot it with like DP it for me because he had a Red. He had just bought it, and like he was just like, yo, like I heard that you do like a lot of music videos, like I'm trying to, like, if you need a DP, like someone who shoots your videos, like I'm trying to get into that stuff, like I'm going to film school at Chapman. And I was like, yeah, we just like clicked, hit it off, and just every video that came my way I was just like, yo, Tom. And so it started there, and that was 2013 when I moved to LA, so I guess that's 8 years ago now. No, well, it would be 8 years at the end of now, 2021. But yeah, so 7 years ago, and just ever since that day, we've just been working together, and yeah, the rest is history. So.
Yeah, and how I've had partnerships in the past that kind of have gone south, and how important is that that partnership and the team that you've built with Buffnerds? How important is that with everything that you've been?
I mean, it's so important to find that person or people that you can trust and become a team. And I've been fortunate with a lot of the people that I've come across that, or that, I've met and built relationships with, where it's like we're still working together X amount of years later. And it's with Tom, how many different like businesses and things we've built, and we talk every day about all the different stuff going on. And so super fortunate and blessed, because it's such a crucial element to your business, or your as a filmmaker, even if it's not a film business, whatever it is, like you can't do it alone, like, period. You know what I mean? Like there's only so much you can do, to a point where it's like then you have to have people on your team that can have strengths in other areas that you aren't the strongest in or whatever. And so yeah, it's super important to find that, and once you do, just try and hold on to it. And it's best to find people whose visions and ideals align with you too, right? You know what I mean? Because that's what will build those long-standing relationships. Like me and Tom are so much alike. He's like the hipster me in a way. He's just like super motivated, super hungry, loves to work, loves to create. His morals align with mine. Like he's never just trying to get over on anyone, or like he just like even like everything else could be the same, but if our morals didn't align, like if he wasn't a good person, it was like always trying to like snake people or undercut or do some stuff, like I wouldn't vibe with that, and at some point we're gonna come to heads and we're gonna split. You know what I mean? So like, when not only do you want to find someone who like works just as hard as you and has the same motivations and goals as you, but your morals need to align as well. I think that's like probably more important than anything else. You know what I mean? So yeah, so super fortunate and lucky to have met him and have built with him over the last 7 years.
Yeah, and I think even with the, like you said, like how hungry someone is, right? Because I feel like a lot of partnerships, sometimes the other partner can feel resentment over the other if one is working harder than the other, or if somebody's, spending X amount of hours on the business, and eventually that conflict's gonna come up. I was like, yo, I've been putting more, I've been busting my ass, and you're, doing something else, or XYZ.
And I think it's 100%. And I think it's also then understanding like, and identifying your roles and stuff, because even like now that, like, for example, our business, I would say early on, Tom, Prism Lens FX in LA, Tom was doing most of the initial legwork and groundwork, but now it's here in AZ, and I'm doing a lot of the stuff while Tom's in LA. And so it's like understanding, and I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad that, yo, Tom, I'm in here way more than you are, like doing all this stuff. Like, I want to see the business succeed, and I recognize and know everything you did early on, probably a little bit more than me, but now I'm bringing that back. I'm paying you back right now, and helping you out. And so it's just not letting, like, just identifying that stuff, and then not letting your like ego or just, you know, attitude get in the way of like, oh, I'm doing more than you, da, da, da. And if that's the case, have a conversation about it and a discussion. But yeah, again, I feel like Tom and I have just always meshed that way, and we understand that, like, although maybe you're putting in more physical work over here, I'm doing these intangible things over here that, you know, you can't do or you wouldn't be able to do necessarily without me. And we just know, like, it's like, hey, like, we're doing different things, but all of it for the better good, you know what I mean? And yeah, luckily we really haven't, I don't think, ever had any issues. And I know that can be tough. A lot of people go through a lot of different, like, partnerships and relationships trying to figure out, you know, what's the right formula and who's that going to be with. So
Hi there, I'm Brendan, a certified home inspector with Roomy. Do you have a problem that needs fixing? Whether it's big or small, inside or outside, let me help you find out what's really going on. You can call me by phone, or we can take a look together over video chat. Visit roomy.ca, that's RUMI.ca, and go to Ask a Home Inspector to book your appointment with me today.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
No, I love that, man. And I think even with, you know, I feel like you've mentioned this before, and I remember this, how important is, you know, just like experience of, you know, going out and shooting or going out and getting that experience as a creative or as a creator in general. You know, because obviously, you know, your partner went to film school. You obviously have just been, you know, sheer, you know, relentless, you know, experience and going after those shoots and filming. Even when your professors have, you know, try to stop you or at least put you down in some way, shape, or form. How do you find that, you know, after such a long time, your experience has helped you in everything that you've been doing, or at least building the business? Even as a businessman now, you know what I mean? You're not just like a creative. You're not just like a DP that just goes out and shoots. You're running multiple businesses. How do you find that experience over the last, you know, decade?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the biggest thing. Like, I always tell people is, like, you just got to go out and do it. Like, you just got to, like, start doing stuff. And, like, for me early on, obviously, like, this was before I was running any businesses or anything like that. I was wanting to become a director or music video director, and so or a filmmaker. And so I was just always going out and shooting whatever I could, whenever I could, to just learn, try new tricks with the camera, figure out new editing techniques with the footage and post. I was just always going out and doing it, and I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I grew a following on YouTube because of it. I landed, you know, clients because of it, because I was just going out and doing those extra things where I could have just been like not doing that. I could have been like chilling, playing video games and whatever, but I was like, this is what I want to do, and I was making those efforts to do it, and I was just jumping off the cliff and kind of learning to fly on the way down. And same thing with like all the business stuff. Like, I'd never, you know, I didn't have like a mentor or worked like who told me how to do things, or interned for some company where I saw the inner workings of like, oh, this is how you run and do a business, and these are like some of the techniques they use. I just kind of went for it, you know what I mean, and figure it out as you go, and you learn what works and what doesn't, and then that directly applies to the next thing you try and do or start. And so I don't know, for me the biggest like just life like experiences come from just like trying things rather than, you know, just jumping off that cliff and trying to figure it out as you fall. And that's, I think, been the most beneficial thing to me than like just, you know, overanalyzing and sitting back and being like, well, like, I don't know. I just feel like just going out there, pursuing it, and just, you know, making stuff try and happen is the best way you can learn and grow and figure things out. So
yeah. And you know, for you, obviously, you know, you've expanded over the last, you know, couple years into multiple different realms of, you know, film and your businesses. Before that, when you were coming up as a filmmaker, when do you think, like, I get this a lot. A lot of people say, you know, you got to stick to one thing and you got to master that. and you shouldn't be a jack of all trades, right? And I feel like as an entrepreneur, you're always wearing multiple hats, right? You're always doing multiple things. For you, as like, starting off and like coming up, when was the point where you were like, okay, like, I feel like I've mastered my craft as a filmmaker, or at least you're at a point where you feel like you can take on more and put more on your plate. When was that for you? When was that when you were like, okay, I want to try to get into XYZ?
Man, it's kind of hard to pinpoint because, like, yeah, I mean, even starting out, I was kind of a jack of all trades, but my focus was one thing, right? It was music videos. So that was my like main focus. But I was directing, I was shooting, I was editing, I was doing all those things. But my focus was like music videos. I wasn't off trying to do multiple businesses or do like, music videos. And then, I mean, I guess, I was doing music videos, I was doing short films, I was doing like small little corporate stuff if it came my way. But my main focus was music videos, which then started to spread into like, other things of like selling, the digital assets, because people were like, yo, how do you shoot your videos? Cool, let me make a book. Like, and I started to slowly go out from there. But I would say, probably not even that long ago, probably like, I don't know, like 3 years ago maybe. Like up until that point, I was still very much focused on video production and work. Obviously, I had like side hustles all around here and there, but there wasn't anything where it's just like, yo, like Prism Lens FX was probably, because Tropic Color, we started before Prism Lens FX, but it wasn't like, it still felt very much like a kind of just side hustle thing. Like we built this thing, it's cool, it's doing well, but it wasn't like that was like a huge just focus and our main focus. But Prism Lens FX took so much more like just time and energy, and that was probably like, I think 2 years ago. So it was like right around then that it was like starting to just like really spread out and do a bunch of different things, because there was like there's still a bunch of things that I want to do right now, like there's so many different things, and it's just like to try and find the time in the day for all that stuff is rough. But I think it was right around then, so probably like 2-3 years ago, where I was like, all right, I've established myself, I have a name, recognition, I've shot hundreds if not thousands of music videos, I've built a successful business with that, like let me start to do other things as well. And then so probably like 3 years ago, because that's when I bought, I think 3 or 4 years ago that's 5 years ago when I bought my first, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I've just always been all over the place doing a bunch of different stuff, you know what I mean? But certainly early on my focus was like, yo, I'm going in on music videos, and that was my focus. And then you get to a point where you're able to start diving into the other things that you want to do. But I would say certainly early on focus on one thing, but by no means would I ever recommend someone to stick to the one thing for the rest of their life, like, and only do that one thing. That never. Like you look at, and that could be as simple as in just investing your money into someone else's business and you have no involvement with it other than your some cash investment for them, like some money to help them. But you look at all the most probably successful, wealthiest people in the world, they have a bunch of different things going on behind the scenes, whether they make it public or they don't, you know what I mean? And so, and obviously you can be very successful just only doing one thing, but in my opinion, it's always nice to have a myriad of things happening, because you never know, when that one thing could end. Like, what if I lost my sight tomorrow? Like, and I'm not directing any music videos after that, you know what I mean? There's no possible way. So like, if that's all I had on my plate was being a director, and that was or DP, that is gone. Like, and so I think you just never know what life could throw at you, and so I think it's super important to just kind of have your hands in various things.
Yeah, and you've been preaching that for a minute now. I think a lot of your videos are or at least I know a bunch of your videos are always talking about, you know, how creatives can, you know, filmmakers can make more money, you know, investing in also real estate. Like how did the real estate, you know, thing come about for you, and investing?
I literally just made a video about it yesterday. I'm probably going to put it up on YouTube within the next
Nice.
next couple days. It was the topic is because I had someone talk about like buying a home and like investing in real estate. And so I talk about me buying my first home is like, I was back and forth between LA a lot. I was 25 years old and I was living in LA, but I'd come home to Arizona and I'd like crash at my parents' place. It's like, I'm 25 now. If I come back here, I'm a homebody, love being home, love being like around, you know, parents and whatnot. And so, but it was like also like I had a girlfriend. And so it's like, I don't want to, like, I need my own place when I come back here. And I just knew I didn't want to pay rent. Like I wanted to own something. I didn't want to be paying someone else's mortgage. Like I wanted to have my own space and take the money I'd saved up and invest it and put equity into, you know, a property. And just my mom had been a real estate agent for like 2 or 3 years prior to that. She had just started doing it now that we were all out of the house, like all the kids. And she was just, you know, every once in a while would say little things about, you know, real estate or talking about sales. And just, you know, I knew real estate. I grew up watching HGTV, so I knew real estate could be like lucrative and, you know, if done right and be a good investment. And so I just bought a house, and then I was going back to LA, and I was like gonna be gone for 2-3 months back in LA doing a bunch of stuff. And my mom was like, why don't you put it on Airbnb? I was like, okay, like cool. And threw it up on Airbnb. The very like next day, I got hit up for someone wanted to book it out for like 30 days. Like
wow,
it was there's a bunch of spring training in the area here, and one of the teams was looking to book the house for 4 of the players for the month that they were here for spring training, and then so it just instantly became like an Airbnb property. And I just started doing that and just saw like, oh, I'm making like, you know, $2,000 a month and not having to pay my mortgage or bills. Like, this is sweet. And then when I'd come back to Arizona, I would just sleep there. Or if I wanted to book it out, I'd book it out and then go sleep at my parents' place again. Just depends how, you know, if it was booked or not, or if I wanted it to be booked. And yeah, so that was like, oh shoot, like this is kind of crazy. Like this is like a very passive income. I own this house. I'm not paying anything on it. Other people are paying it for me, but I'm making money. And the very next year, so I let that ride for a full year, and I took all the money that I made from that place and bought another one and did the same thing. And so I had to put more too, because like I took all the money that I made from that property, and then I brought in a little bit more money too and bought a second one, did the same thing, and then that one did well. And so that's like kind of where I started realizing just like the value of real estate and owning property. And I think a lot of people, the misconception that they don't understand too is like when you put your down payment on that house, like that money's there, the equity is in the house. It's not just like gone. You buy a TV and that money's out the window, right? Like you can't get that money back. But like when you put that down payment on a house, like when you sell that house, you're gonna get that down payment back. So it's just the money is still yours. It's just sitting in the house instead of the bank. And so like just knowing that, and then eventually 3 years later I sold that house, and I got my down payment back. I made $70,000 on the sale because the property value had gone up. And over the course of the 3 years of it being an Airbnb, probably somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000 in profit. So it's like all of a sudden I had $180,000 in my bank account, 3 years later from that and that only. And so I was just like, shit, like, okay, so so that's why I've just like I'm kind of I've dove into properties a decent amount and have kind of talked about that on just like Instagram and YouTube and whatnot. So just kind of happened randomly. It was never a plan. It was never like, yo, I want to get into real estate. Like it just kind of happened, and you just start to identify, oh, okay, this is work. Like now if I do a second one and you just start to, at least for me that's what it was identifying like, oh, this is working like this, and if I get another one I can make this and roll that money into this one, like. But yeah, by no means was it like, yo, I'm gonna start buying all these properties, I want to invest and become a real estate person or blah 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 blah. Just that stuff just kind of happened after buying what I wanted to be a home to live in, and so yeah.
And then you've also turned some of your properties into, film studios, Honeymoon Hideout, you have Bubblegum. What was the intention from on that front?
I mean,
where did that idea come from?
Hold on, you broke up there at the end. What'd you say?
I just said where the idea come from of the turning some of your properties into film sets or film for people to come and rent out, and other creatives and stuff like that.
I mean, it was the same kind of, I always wanted a film studio in Arizona, but I was like, it's probably going to be more lucrative in LA, and same kind of thing. It started in LA. I just wanted a house. I was renting, and I was like, let me own a house, have other people pay the mortgage for me. Maybe I'll make some money. I don't know. I had no idea if it would book or not, but I was like, I think at the very least I can get my mortgage covered to where I'm not coming out of pocket, and that was just the goal and mindset going into it. And so I just decorated it how I thought I would like to shoot it, and then it so same kind of thing. Just wanted a property, wanted a house that I could live at, not pay rent, wanted people to figure out, okay, how can I make people pay the mortgage for me? It can't be an Airbnb because I need to live here. People can't just be staying here. Then what am I do if they're there for 3 nights? Like, then I'm gonna have to like go rent a hotel or whatever, stay at a hotel. So I was like, film shoots. I want a film studio anyway. Like, and so just kind of where the idea came from. So same kind of thing. Yeah, and so that was just the mindset behind that initial one.
Yeah, that's dope, man. And I love that story because it was kind of the same thing for me, coming, in my city. I need a place to stay, same thing. I've been living with my parents for quite some time, and like at 26 years old, I was like, okay, like I save up some money, build a little bit of a business here. And then I was gonna move out, and then I was talking to some, a close homie of mine, and we decided to actually buy a place last year. And it was an old place, and we spent our evenings and weekends over the last year and a half renovating it. And since COVID, actually, it's gone up 100K. So we're and it looks way better on the inside
than it did before.
Than it did when we first bought it. It was gross, man. I guess the previous owner didn't take care of it or anything. And my friend is kind of handy as well, and we're like, I have no idea how to renovate this. You down to do it? Like, I mean, we'd have to put in some sweat equity and try to get it, to make it happen. And we bought it. And like I said, I needed a place to live. That was the initial kind of trigger. And then now it's we're still working on the basement, but man, it is a complete 360 transformation.
That's dope.
So I think, and I love that that you preach that, and you give a lot of free game, online. You give a lot of value, a ton of value that, not just, filmmakers, but other creatives can learn from. What I'm curious is how important is it with your team to delegate? Like a lot of this stuff now is, like you said, you're running multiple things. How important is it to delegate certain tasks and roles to the people on your team? And
yeah, I mean, it's super important because it's just like there's no way. The more you add to your plate, the more you do, and especially how much like I kind of do now, there's just no way you can do it all. And also even if you could, like you'd go insane trying to probably do everything. So like even with like the different properties and stuff, the like film properties, like I don't personally manage the communications back and forth with people who want to book it. You know what I mean? I have someone who does that. And then, same thing with just like any sort of like the other businesses, whether it's like managing the email accounts, like for like Tropic or Prism. We have people, like I have someone who does that because I don't want to be sitting all day answering emails, sending new links to broken download links or whatever, or like, oh, your shipping package is so, you know, it's just like you have to at some point delegate that stuff. We always started out doing it ourselves just because it was small enough to where we could do it ourselves and get it going. But then once it starts to get to a point where it's like becoming too much, that's when you need to, you know what I mean, like delegate it out, find someone who can, you know, do that stuff. So but yeah, we always started out doing it ourselves, everything, you know, and then just when the time's right, you find someone who can do it for you, you know what I mean, do what needs to get done. So but yeah, super important. I wouldn't be able to do all the things that we do if we didn't have people helping.
Yeah, and you know, one thing is like I know a lot of creatives here, especially in my city, who have troubles, you know, expanding or at least delegating in that front because they want to do a lot of the stuff themselves, especially even on the business side of things, right? Like you said, like there's stuff that, you know, could potentially somebody could do that for them, but they tend to kind of lean towards themselves because they're kind of always trying to micromanage every little piece of their business. So I feel like that's something that you know, a lot of creatives struggle with. But
hold on, two seconds. Say that question. My dog just threw up, so I'm.
Oh, okay. No worries, brother.
No worries.
Pickles. Oh, you're all right, girl.
Is Pickles doing all right?
Yeah, I think she just has an upset stomach. I've been hearing her tummy rumble all morning, but.
This episode of the Second Floor Podcast is brought to you by Shift by Alberta Innovates. Our province is a hotbed of innovation. Now, in Season 2, Shift's hosts Katie Dean and John Hagen put the spotlight on Albertan innovators working on improving the world, one ripple at a time. Here's a taste of Shift Podcast by Alberta Innovates.
Make Shift by Alberta Innovates your next podcast binge. Join us as we take a deep dive with the people that are driving Alberta's 21st century economy.
These global movers and shakers are working to solve today's challenges, create new opportunities, and build a healthy, sustainable, and prosperous future for Albertans today and for generations to come.
Just when you think you know all about Alberta, we're here to shift your perspective.
I don't know if I can stress this enough. We have a top 3 institution in arguably the most important technology in the entire world right now.
We will prove a lot of people wrong by coming out of this even stronger. And the way we will do it is by finding ways to help businesses be cash flow positive and by willing to, you know, find the ways that we can help.
We're just starting to scratch the surface. I mean, Calgary just this last month announced the fact that they broke their record again for venture capital investment. And some of this is in fintech, some of this is in a whole bunch of different areas where we originally didn't even, you know, have these types of core industries in Alberta.
We have diversification in our DNA. We just have forgotten about it.
Sincerely, we are blessed in Alberta to have all the infrastructure that we do have.
Tune in to Shift by visiting shift.albertainnovates.ca or your favorite podcast app.
You know, how's Prism Lens FX going? And I know the last time you talked on a podcast, I think you were either just starting or you were just in the midst of, you know, doing it. How is that? How's Prism Lens FX doing? Are you guys planning to add, you know, other new products? Is there a different layer of Prism Lens FX that's coming? Or
yeah, we're still always thinking of new stuff, adding new stuff, got new stuff in the works. Right now it's been fun because now we brought on some full-time employees and are able to, you know, it's cool to be able to help people out in that way and provide jobs and opportunities for people. And so we have a couple 3 full-time employees now, and it allows me and Tom to be, you know, more hands-off and do other stuff, and if we want to start another business, then we have time to do it now. But like, no, it's been cool. So we got a couple new warehouse. We just put out some new products. We got some employees. Just always, you know, it's been growing and doing well, and it's been fun. So it was 2 years ago last month is when we started it. So it's a little and just barely over two years old now. So still a baby in terms of, you know, a business, but it's been cool to see, like, from where we started to where we are now, like how much of a difference, like, it really is. I mean, we started off in this just tiny little 300 square foot shared workspace in a grungy LA warehouse that was just like awful, and now we're in like our own building in Arizona with, you know, just our own bathroom, kitchen, office, warehouse space. Like, so it's dope. It's fun. I find it's just fun for me to, like, and I think Tom as well, just like to build and grow something and see the success. Like, I just find a lot of like enjoyment in starting something and seeing it grow and become something. So but yeah, no, it's doing well right now. So
yeah, likewise, man. I love seeing it, because I know, you like you said, you've again, just seeing from the outside, just seeing how it's been growing, it's awesome, man. Where does your ambition come from, Jacob? Because I know, and again, like a lot of creatives, they stick to one lane, or they do certain things and they hit, you know, certain achievements that they want, or stuff that's on their bucket list, and that's kind of where they're okay with that. You know what I mean? For you, I'm very curious, where does the hunger and ambition come from?
Man, I think it's just never, like, I'm never satisfied with, I don't know, I guess I'm just never satisfied. And that can be a sucky thing, just like mentally, just like, but I think that's also what makes me who I am, and like why I've been able to do all the things that I've done and accomplished, is because I'm not cool with, like, if I reach a certain milestone, like, yeah, bro, like, I'm chilling, I'm good, like, and I just always want to be better, always want to create and do new things. And I think that's part of it too, is just always wanting to create stuff. I have so many ideas in my head, and I don't like them just sitting there. Like, I like seeing it, you know, out there in the world and doing it well. And so I think it's just like, my ambition comes from, like, you know, wanting to always be better and to always create, and just, you know, wanting to see those ideas, like, come out and become something. And yeah, also I think just, you know, a driving force on the back end is like, hey, when I'm older and, like, I have a family, and, like, I don't want to have to be, like, grinding to, like, support that family. Like, I want to be able to fully do whatever I want and enjoy time, and like you know, not have to miss, you know, sporting events or things of, like, my kids or milestones. Like, so I think my drive up until this point has been also just subconsciously a lot of that, because I know that's how my dad was there for me. Like, he worked for himself and worked really hard, and so he was always there for everything. And so I think subconsciously too, it's just wanting to grind and build for something, so in the future I can just do nothing if I want to. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not forced. I won't be forced to, like, man, I have to work this weekend. Like, we gotta make, you know, make ends meet. So I think that's part of it too. But I mean, as a kid, I think a lot of that's just who you are as well. Whether it's, like, just naturally in you, or if it's just learned behavior through habit. But, like, growing up, that's how I was. I was the same way. Like, my dad would give us, you know, pennies for push-ups, and I would do push-ups all day long. One, trying to earn the money, but, like, you know, wanting to get stronger. I'd see a little bit of results, and, like, oh, I want to be bigger and stronger than all the other kids. Like, and, you know, I want to be, and just, like, creating. I was always creating stuff, and then on to the next thing, like drawing my own golf course, and then, like, cool, that's done. Like, now I want to design my own shoe line. Cool, did that. Now what? Like, I don't know. So I think it's definitely part of, like, who I am. But it might have been just also learned through my parents pushing. Like, our parents were always pushing us. Go outside, go play. You're going to go here, we're going to train. Penny a push-up. Like, rewarding us for, you know, my mom always laying out arts and crafts stuff in front of us. Here, guys, here's some markers and paint something. Here, like, you know, so it's like, I think it's a mixture of both. But I think just with anything, like, you can learn certain behaviors and habits through how you're raised, and I'm sure they played a good part in that, you know what I mean? So, but it's definitely, I feel like it's just got to be inside of you as well, because there's certainly kids that are raised, all come from the same family, that are raised the same, but, you know, for whatever reason, one comes out just like hitting every mark and the others are like black sheep or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely got to be something that's also inside of you, you know, and just, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, man. I think it's very important to have those milestones, and I was actually interested in seeing where that actually came from for you, because you know, a lot of people it's different. Like you said, you grow up in the same household. One turns out to be, you know, super ambitious and conquers stuff, and then the others just tend to kind of float or whatever. So I was curious to see what you would say about that. Do you have a night routine? And I know a lot of people do. Do you have a way to detach and just kind of chill? Like what's your night routine look like?
I mean, as soon as I'm ready, like for bed or whatever, and I'm done working, I don't really have a routine outside of I usually fall asleep watching like Netflix or something. I have all the subscriptions. I have Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, freaking Apple TV Plus, or Apple Plus, Netflix. I have everything, and so that's like, because throughout the day, like I never just sit there and like watch TV or watch videos or do that stuff. I don't even like sit and watch sports games outside of like the Cardinals on Sunday. Like that's it. So that's like kind of my just wind down, lay in bed, watch an episode of something, and I usually fall asleep before the episode even ends. So that's just usually my night routine. I mean, if we're gonna get super detailed, it's obviously like do all the little stuff like brush teeth and this and that. But no, my night routine is just like once I'm done working, you know, I just kind of fall asleep to some Netflix or whatever. So I don't really have like a crazy routine or whatever, but that's usually how I go to bed.
Yeah, no, that's all good, man. I think I have a friend who's a physiotherapist. Shout out to Raj if he's watching this, but he says he watches aimless television until he goes to sleep. He's an entrepreneur. He's successful. He's got 4 clinics here. He's like, the way I detach and just kind of fall asleep, and kind of that's what I do is I watch half an hour of just, you know, television, and he just sits there and just, until, like you said, he just falls asleep. So it's,
because it's like you can kind of get taken out of your world and like focus on, like if I had to just lay there and try and go to sleep, my mind runs too much. You know, like I have so many ideas and things going on in my head and thoughts of like stuff that needs to be done tomorrow and this and that. So I find what helps me get out of that is watch something. So like by watching this episode, I can like sit and enjoy something and not have my mind running, and so I just fall asleep. But if you took that away from me, we're just like, yo, go to sleep. Oh man, I feel like that'd be so hard. So at least you know, for me, that's why I do that. It allows me to probably like that guy said, just completely detach from like your thoughts and what's going on, and just like zone out, watch this thing, and doze off. So for me that's what I do and what works for me. So
no, that's dope, man. If you weren't a filmmaker, and this is gonna maybe throw you a curveball, but if you weren't a filmmaker, you know, what would you be doing?
I'd for sure be doing something in the fitness world. I think it'd be tight to either be like a trainer for some sports team, like the Suns or Cardinal, like some professional sports team, or to be involved with like a coaching staff in some way for basketball. But I don't think I have the patience to be a coach with how like crazy detail oriented they have to be, and the like I would love to just work out professional athletes and train them. You know, I think that'd be what I would probably do had I never done the films. Because now that where I'm at, if you told me, hey, you could never film another video again, like I have all this other stuff I could do and wouldn't have to work, things I could pursue. But like coming up, if you're like, yo, like you can't be a filmmaker or like really anything related to being a filmmaker, for sure would have done one of those two things.
Word. No, I should have guessed that actually. I was gonna ask you too. You know, how important is it to build, you know, like a personal brand, or at least online? Maybe some advice for creators or filmmakers. Is that, you know, like, I remember like a couple years ago you told me, and this is something like, you know, I was in your mentorship group, and I asked you if, you know, it was how important it was to move from your own home city, like a small town, to, you know, to an LA or somewhere that has like a bigger, you know, space. Is that something that's still kind of relevant today? Can you build something that's online as a creative, and how important is that? Or do you think that the traditional route of like going into, you know, last thing I want to ask, Jakob, is on the second floor, like our whole motto is getting to the next level. That's kind of the idea of the podcast is elevating. You know, our slogan is how to survive, how to thrive, and keep the good vibes in life and business. And so for you, you know, what does it mean to be on the second floor, and what does it mean to continuously be elevating in your life and your business?
Well, I think for me, like I'm always looking to what's that next level, what's that next step, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's always good to be, you know, pushing yourself to get to a better place, and like a higher level. And so, I mean, that's just something I'm always looking to improve and get better. It doesn't matter where I'm at. Like, I feel like that should always be your mindset. There's always areas and ways you can improve. I don't care who you are, you know what I mean? Like, even, you know, you look at someone like LeBron James, who's considered, you know, one of the GOATs. Like, you know, for a while, like, his shot, like, even was not the greatest or the best, and he's like there's always, like, and he's considered one of the greatest or GOATs. Like, there's always areas you can work on and improve in your life to get to that next level. And so I don't care who you are. So yeah, just never being, like, acknowledging and being happy with the success and the milestones that you hit and made, but also not being satisfied with that, and wanting and knowing that you can be better, and then fully acknowledging and being happy once you reach those new places and be like, all right, what's the next thing? Yeah,
I love that, man. I just want to take a moment, Jakob, to just, you know, appreciate you and you know, all the respect to you and what you've been doing. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, man, I've been following you for years, and for me, it's an honor that you're on my podcast. And I can't wait to see, you know, over the next coming years, you know, what else you end up doing with your team, you know, your wife. It's just inspiring all the way through. And I think you're a perfect example of, you know, a guest for us. You embody what we embody here. So, like I said, much love to you, man. And
Thank you, man.
I would love to, you know, bring you on one day in person to the studio, or even come out in person and to do this maybe in the near future when this pandemic kind of, you know, slows down or whatnot. So
love it. Yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on. Hopefully your listeners and whatnot find some valuable information and whatnot, and enjoy what I had to say. So
100%. 100%, brother. Thank you, man. That's a wrap. So
all right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
The Second Floor Podcast is a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown and community supported.